All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Aonia. I work at the intersection of crypto and hair loss, which means most of my friends think I've completely lost it. But today I want to convince you guys otherwise, that this approach is in fact quite revolutionary. My background is in the sciences. I did my graduate studies in computational biology and quantitative genetics at Harvard. After that, I went into Web3 software engineering. And now I get to work at the intersection of both as the CTO of HairDAO. So today I want to take you guys through our journey in the last 6 months and how one of our DAO members went from this to this. In the first picture, this DAO member had tried basically every hair loss drug in the market. That's not 1, not 2, not 5, but 7 different interventions. He was feeling quite hopeless, quite depressed, and this is him after 6 months of taking our proprietary treatment. He's feeling excited again. He feels like he has a new shot at life. And I'll take you through how exactly we did that. But first, I want to put this all into context. So hair loss affects a lot of people, and I was wondering if you in the audience, if you have either experienced hair loss or know someone that's experienced hair loss, could raise your hand. Yeah, so if you take a look, that's a lot of people. And in fact, it's 80% of men over the course of their lives and 50% of women, right? And so they'll spend billions and billions of dollars annually to try to stave off their hair loss and regrow their hair. Which begs the question, why do we not have a solution? Right? And so often it comes down to incentives. In the early stage, most funding comes from the government, so money is allocated in a utilitarian fashion. Most of the money will go to the conditions that most of the people struggle from. Now, hair loss isn't classified as a disease, so it virtually gets no allocation in the early stage. In the later stage, you might be wondering, okay, why does the pharma industry not invest in this? I mean, they must be licking their fingers at this opportunity. But again, similar story. It's not classified as a disease, so they actually can't get any reimbursement. And what that means is, again, they don't have the financial incentive to do anything about it. This has left us with inadequate solutions. There's minoxidil or Rogaine. This is considered the gold standard of hair loss treatment. It was actually originally an ulcers drug and a hypertension drug, but had the happy side effect of regrowing hair in some people. The problem is with minoxidil, it actually, depending on what study you look at, doesn't work in 30 to 70% of people, right? So it's not a solution for most of us. There's finasteride, which is actually more effective, but the problem is A, women can't use it, and B, it comes with some really nasty side effects. We're talking erectile dysfunction, infertility, and depression. So one of our DAO members, he actually shared his story, and he got so depressed taking finasteride, he actually had to quit his job. And there's something called post-finasteride syndrome, so the symptoms don't necessarily go away when you stop taking the medication. So after quitting his job, he had to move back to his hometown to live with his family, right? And people are willing to take these medications because that's how much they care about regrowing their hair. People care a lot. There's also hair transplants. This is a good solution if you have 15K to spare and are willing to get a new one every 4 years. But for most people, it really isn't an option. So we decided to come up with a solution of our own. This is actually one of the co-founders, Andrew, who was willing to share his results. What you see here is that he increased 24 hairs per square centimeters with our proprietary topical. To put this into context, the gold standard minoxidil regrows about 15 hairs per square centimeter, and finasteride 18 hairs per square centimeters in a 2017 meta-analysis by Godwin and Adel. And these pictures, by the way, are taken with the Tricostan. That's a state-of-the-art device. It's used by hair transplant specialists, and it'll actually count the hair as well as the volume and the density. And actually, in everybody we've measured so far, we've had increase on both of these measures. So the part that's interesting for you, I guess, as well, is how did we get there? And the reason this might be interesting is that you will hopefully be able to use this as well if there's any condition you're suffering from or a loved one is suffering from. And as so often the case with DAOs, it all starts with community. We have a community of over 1,500 individuals who suffer from hair loss. And these people are frustrated because they have tried everything that's on the market. They're citizen scientists, which means that they themselves have decided to learn everything they can about hair loss. And in doing so, have acquired more knowledge than some of the dermatologists that are active in the space. And the people who work with us are impressed over and over again just by the depth of knowledge they have. And so they'll propose study ideas because they know the biology so well, and will be rewarded with hair for all their contribution or token. And when these studies are proposed, the community can actually vote. And this is quite brilliant because no one's incentivized to vote better than somebody who thinks day and night about regrowing their hair. Once this is done and a study is voted for overwhelmingly by the community, it'll go to our lab where we test whatever the intervention is on ex vivo human hair follicles. And if it indeed happens that some of the hair regrows and we have some efficiency data available, it'll become part of our IP portfolio. And then actually get sold via our telehealth. And this is quite exciting for two reasons. One, the money flows back into our scientist and patient ecosystem. And two, the data does as well. So we can really improve these treatments over and over. Here's some information about this actual treatment that we did. We did this in collaboration with Dr. Ralph Paus. He's actually the most highly cited hair loss researcher in academia. We have a patent filed, and we're actually undergoing observational studies with all of our members, or the ones that signed up, rather. We have several other studies. I won't tell you about all of them because we don't have time, but this is a community-ideated study by a member called Herbert. It's all about actually delivering the drug straight to the follicle instead of letting the drug go systemic. And it's one of the ways we can avoid these really nasty side effects that I was talking about before. This is in collaboration with Dr. Thijs Kwartieri, who is a professor at the University of Brasilia. If prescription drugs aren't your thing, we're also developing two cosmeceuticals, one of them again in collaboration with Ralph Paus. We also actually have an everyday shampoo that I think will be available here. This is for everyone's use, but in fact is particularly useful when it comes to having an inflamed scalp because you're using so many hair loss products. And things have been exciting, but they're going to get even more exciting because we're opening our own lab. We'll have several things we'll test, from 100 computationally repurposed drugs to different gene targets. And we're also starting our own tissue bank in collaboration with some of the finest hair loss doctors in the US. And that means we can really cut the cost of drug development massively. Traditional pharma actually requires about $1 to $2 billion to create a new drug. We did so for $140,000, which means we have a multiple thousand-fold increase in cost efficiency. We're able to go faster, and patients have all the data of every stage, so they're more informed when it comes to actually joining our studies. And finally, we're going fully vertical. We are launching our telehealth as of November 2024. If you are US-based, feel free to scan the QR code and you'll be able to be on our wait list. This is cool because going fully verticalized means everything stays with the community, really from ideation to drug discovery and development to distribution. This is all in-house. So if you do suffer of hair loss, I really hope you join our community. And if you don't, I hope you see that if there's something you or a loved one are struggling from, you can take action. We're really entering a new era in healthcare, which puts the patient first. So thank you all so much for your time. It was a pleasure to speak to you.
Thank you. Stay. Maybe somebody has questions.
Right.
Who has some questions? Who has some hair problems over there? You look, you have good hair. What question do you have? It's like,
revelation, I've done a hair transplant.
Amazing.
Right. So the question is actually on that front. You mentioned that hair transplant might be an effective solution, but it's expensive. We are all aware. But isn't it also not suitable for those who don't have much hair left?
That's
number
correct.
one. And number two is actually transplanting hair from one location to another, meaning that you just can't do it for many times.
Exactly, that's very true. I mean, you only have a limited number of donor hairs, so as you said, you won't be able to do it forever. Eventually, those two will run out, so that's right. And a lot of people actually have a type of hair loss where they can't do transplants at all. One of the co-founders, he has a type of hair loss where that's just not an option, unfortunately. So it is, as you said, for some people, not an option. There's generally too little options, so we're hoping to change that and really find something for everyone. Thank you.
I just had a question in regards to someone like myself who I don't have hair loss per se, but do you think that a product like the one that you're offering would be able to be used by someone by the mainstream, and would it increase the rate of growth?
Yeah, so that's a good question. In fact, so our drug is a reformulation of a FDA-approved drug, and it's actually used at a way lower dosage, so the safety profile is really good. We do have some women taking the formulation as well in our community, and it seems to be working really well. So it's definitely also an option for someone to take to either stave off the hair growth. Actually, the formulation is also supposed to help in terms of preventing it from going gray and recolorizing. So definitely an option if you're interested.
perfect. Thank you very much.